Sandra is a young and charming lady. Her face was like a gift from the heavens, her body shaped in a way that made men lose their sense of judgment. But what no one knew was the secret behind her beauty. Was her beauty a blessing or a trap? Watch this story to the end to see what happened to her and the men who slept with her. Sandra was not an ordinary woman. Behind her smile, behind her graceful steps, and behind the beads that danced on her waist and ankles, there was a secret too dark for anyone to imagine. And if you think beauty is harmless, if you think waist beads are just ornaments, wait until you hear the end of this story. Because Sandra's beauty left everyone in shock. Sandra lived in a small town where everybody knew each other's business. But Sandra was different. She was the kind of woman people would talk about at night in hushed tones. Her skin glowed under the sun, her hips swayed like music when she walked, and her laughter had a way of making even married men stop in their tracks. It didn't matter if you were a struggling trader, a rich businessman, or even a politician with security guards surrounding you. If Sandra walked by, you would turn your head. And if she smiled, your heart would melt. Men gave her gifts without asking for anything in return, but Sandra was not the type to leave things at just smiles. She knew the power she carried. Whenever she passed through the marketplace, women would shake their heads, warning their husbands not to look too long. Mothers would pull their sons closer and whisper, "That girl is trouble." But the men never listened. And why would they? Sandra was a dream wrapped in human form. But unknown to all, Sandra's beauty was not meant for admiration. It was meant for destruction. Far away from the town, hidden beneath the waters, there was a kingdom most humans could never see. It was a kingdom ruled by the Queen Mother, a spirit of the deep waters. And in that kingdom, Sandra was not called Sandra. She was known as the Queen of the Waterways. Long before she became the woman people admired, Sandra had been chosen. The Queen Mother called her into the depths and placed before her two ornaments, a waist bead and an ankle bead, glowing like fire underwater. "Take these," the Queen Mother said, "for your strength is locked inside them. As long as you wear them, no man will resist you. Every man that touches you will lose his destiny, and his blessings will flow into our kingdom. This is your mission." Sandra accepted. She wore the beads proudly, knowing that her beauty had become a weapon. But there was one condition, a warning. If either the waist bead or the ankle bead was destroyed before she had completed her mission, she would run mad in the streets, exposed for what she truly was. Sandra nodded, confident she could never fail. After all, who could ever resist her? From that day, Sandra's life changed. Men didn't just admire her, they chased after her. High-profile businessmen took her to expensive hotels. Politicians sneaked her into their homes, even while their wives were away. Gifts flowed like water, bags of money, jewelry, clothes, cars. She never lacked anything. But as the men enjoyed her, their lives began to crumble. One businessman lost a major contract overnight. Another politician, once full of charisma, suddenly fell ill and could no longer speak confidently in public. A wealthy man who had once been generous became broke within months. Their families noticed, but no one connected the dots. They thought it was bad luck. They never knew it was Sandra's mission. Sandra laughed when she saw their downfall. She had no mercy. To her, men were tools, and their destinies were treasures to be collected for her kingdom. She had slept with so many men that people in town whispered she was untouchable. Some men swore they would never go near her, but others could not resist. Then came Max. Max was not just any man. He was a young, handsome billionaire. Unlike the others, his wealth did not come from politics or contracts. He had built a tech empire from scratch. He lived in a mansion so grand that people in town only heard about it in stories. His cars, his staff, his lifestyle, all of it made him stand out. When Sandra heard about Max, her eyes lit up. To her, this was the ultimate prize. If she could trap Max's destiny, she would be celebrated in the Water Kingdom forever. She made her move. And just as expected, Max noticed her. He invited her to his mansion for the weekend. Sandra smiled to herself. This was it. This was the jackpot. The weekend at Max's mansion was like nothing Sandra had ever seen. From the moment she stepped in, she was overwhelmed. The house stretched endlessly, filled with expensive art, sparkling chandeliers, and marble floors. Max's chef prepared meals that smelled like heaven. Expensive wine flowed freely, and music filled the rooms. Sandra was dazzled. She had trapped many men before, but this was different. She felt like she had walked into another world. Max treated her with kindness, but he didn't seem desperate like the other men. He didn't throw himself at her. He simply welcomed her like a guest. This unsettled Sandra a little, but she told herself she was still in control. That night, after dinner, Sandra's plan was simple. She would seduce Max, trap his destiny, and return to the Water Kingdom with her greatest victory yet. But then, something happened that Sandra had never expected. The dinner was heavy, too heavy. Max's chef had prepared a feast of meats, rice, soups, and wines. Sandra ate and ate, laughing and drinking until her stomach felt like it would burst. She leaned back, her beads pressing tightly against her waist. The waist bead felt uncomfortable, squeezing her belly. Sandra, drunk and careless, slipped the waist bead off and placed it on the bed. She thought nothing of it. After all, she could always wear it back in the morning. But she didn't know that Max's cleaners would come into the room early, sweep the place spotless, and throw everything into the trash. By dawn, her waist bead was gone, lost in a pile of dirt that was carried away to the public waste bin. That morning, the waste bin was set on fire, the flames swallowing everything inside. Sandra had no idea her power was gone forever. By midday, Sandra began to feel strange. At first, she felt dizzy. Then her head grew hot. She tried to speak, but her words tumbled out as nonsense. She stumbled through Max's mansion, clutching her head, her voice rising into screams. Max called for help, but there was nothing anyone could do. Sandra burst out into the streets, her hair wild, her eyes empty. She shouted, laughed, and cried all at once, running barefoot through the town. People gathered, pointing at her. Is that not Sandra? The beautiful Sandra. They could not believe it. The Queen of Beauty, the woman who had once made men weak, was now reduced to a madwoman on the streets. And so Sandra's story ended in shame. The beads that gave her power were destroyed, and her true mission was exposed. She had trapped the destinies of many men, but in the end, her own destiny was cut short. What do we learn from Sandra's story? Beauty can deceive. What glitters on the outside can carry destruction on the inside. Many men ran after Sandra for her looks, but they lost everything. And Sandra herself, proud of her power, never saw the day her pride would destroy her. So, be careful what you chase. Not everything attractive is a blessing. Some are traps, waiting to consume you. Now I ask you, if you were in Max's shoes, what would you have done differently? Share your thoughts in the comments.